For Christine to think that she's saving my relationship with Truly by taking her away from me and just preserving it, that's such BS rationalization. That I'm laughing now because it's ridiculous.
In last week's episode, Cody criticized Christine's explanation for taking Truly away from him, referring to it as a BS rationalization. While it is true that Christine's reasoning can be seen as partially rational, it doesn't change the fact that she genuinely believes it to be the absolute truth. Had Christine remained in Flagstaff, Truly would have missed out on spending Christmas and any other quality time with Cody. Instead, she would have been in a situation similar to Savannah, waiting by the phone for a call that would never come. And it's not really that much BS. He hadn't been an active parent when I divorced my ex-husband. He was so rarely with our children during our marriage, his own choice, that I honestly hoped that having planned and set aside regular times to bond with and actively connect with our kids would help him to foster a relationship together. It's been almost 6 years, and he still doesn't step up. I continue to somehow be surprised that he can't get it together every other weekend for 36 hours or so. He doesn't reach out at all to them in between times. He doesn't ask me how they are doing, even if I've told him they're sick. He doesn't ask about school or activities, doesn't attend conferences or events, etc. So yeah, sometimes the active parent hopes that having lowered expectations will make the bar easier for the non-active parent to step up and grab, but that doesn't always happen, sadly. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Bombshell Gossip. It's Elena. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching and hit the subscribe button. So let's start. On the other hand, Christmas gift exchange, Robin vs. kids, explained Cody. So what we have seen or heard via social media and the show regarding the text falling about the Christmas gift exchange has caused confusion. Many people don't know what exactly occurred, or why. I also didn't really understand at first, but based on all the recounts that I've heard and my own deduction, this is why I understand to have unraveled and why I'm thinking the gift exchange was going to be an in-person event, as it always has been, and I don't think Robin will allow her adult children to be around the other brown kids without being under her watchful eye, especially after the coronavirus unfolds, for fear of what will be said to her kids, and perhaps because she feels her kids will be turned against her, and in that case you'd think she would then just propose that she attend the event as well to satisfy her need to monitor everything. But the reality is Robin doesn't actually want to be in the same room with any of the rest of the family or any of the kids aside from my Kelty. So I think she proposed that it become a Zoom event. That way she didn't have to be the bad guy by telling her kids they couldn't go, but she would still get to monitor the event without actually having to be around anyone or confront the __ storm she created. I think that's when the rest of the kids got rightfully pissed at her and started getting snappy, because they see right through her, and because they didn't want to do a Zoom gift exchange. They wanted to get together in real life, hence their claim that she was trying to control everything. She was trying to change the entire nature of the annual gift exchange just to suit herself, but did so under the guise that Sol and Ari don't even know their siblings. I'm assuming that Sa and Ari were invited to come with Dab, because they too are siblings. I'm sure Truly would be there, so why would the other little ones not be invited? So I think Robin was saying that she wasn't comfortable with that, because they don't even remember their siblings, which is also why Hunter's response was a Zoom call isn't going to fix that, implying that getting together in person would be better suited for reconnecting with each other. And then, instead of just accepting it, letting it go, and allowing her children to go participate with their siblings, she did what she does and flipped it into see. They don't even really want to do Christmas with us. If they did, they would respect my concerns, respect me as a mom, and do the gift exchange how I want it done. She then manipulated her kids into the same perception or way of thinking, even though this single gift exchange has nothing to do with her in reality. And I think Hunter's comment, one Zoom Paul won't change, that was meant to highlight firstly how Cody's coronavirus rules were designed to separate the family because no one was allowed to see each other or even hug, and secondly how Robin always wanted to keep her children separate from the greater family. Basically, Hunter told Robin that if Ari and Saul don't know their siblings, it's on Cody and Robin. Why is Robin placing that burden on young adults who have active lives, school jobs? It's Robin's dame job as a parent. Also, I've noticed in what we've seen of the House of Trinkets that there are no or very few photos of the whole Bigger family on display, like how hard would it be to show little kids a photograph and go over everyone's names? And she wanted them to draw names over Zoom. The timing wouldn't work with people spread all across the state. People were declining. Robin tried to guilt trip by saying the tenders didn't remember their siblings, someone I can't remember, who maybe Hunter said one Zoom. Won't fix that. Gwen was snarky, she said. This much it was heated, and Robin felt attacked, retreated, and withdrew her family from participating and so on. Didn't want this Zoom gift exchange, draw names to happen. She just stepped in, meddled, as she always does, and manipulated the situation, so her 200-month-old chicken tenders couldn't participate, then blamed the other kids, as usual. On the other hand, Robin owns so much, and never works. All of Robin's horrible personality traits and selfishness aside, how does Robin own so much? She owns a big house. She insisted that she needed a bedroom for each kid, a large portion of KP. She's overfilled her house with expensive nonsense. She has a nanny for 2 little kids. When she and Cody are home all day, Christine used to watch all the little kids and work. Outside the house, she's driving the truck. Cody wouldn't let Janelle drive. She has a bunch of expensive jewelry, not the sister wives' closet trash. It's no wonder they couldn't pay off KP. While Janelle and Christine were living on a budget, she was on a never-ending shopping spree. It's not really a rest on the show. But the other 3 wives lost a lot to her, not just time but assets, while she continues to play dumb. It's so sad, because you can see how trusting Janelle and Marie were when they dropped all their cash into the family account. At least Christine protected herself. She saw it coming, and I think that's one of my biggest issues. It really makes me question the existence of karma and doing the right thing, because clearly she's a horrendous evil person who somehow continues to be rewarded for her wretched behavior, and it's gotten to the point that it's just infuriating to witness. And the big question is, why does she spend money on everything except her clothing? Cheap, shapeless polyester, floral tops. Like, what store does she even shop at? Walmart. On the other hand, Mary and Saul, when Saul was born, I think Mary thought she was going to have a really close relationship with him because of her friendship with Robin. When Robin was pregnant with Saul, Marie was very excited and said she felt a special connection with Robin's baby, as opposed to truly fast forward to Mary wanting to take Saul to Utah when he was still a toddler and getting pissy when Robin wouldn't allow it. However, it is clear that Robin never attempted to nurture that relationship. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at no point do we see that bond between Mary and Saul. Mary Andel seemed to have a close bond at the beginning of the show, but then it kind of faded away. I just think that if Mary had nurtured her relationships with the OG Brown kids, instead of kissing Robin's ass, she wouldn't be so alone now. What are your thoughts? And Mary has never had the relationship with Robin or her kids. She thought she did. She had the one Robin wanted her to think she had. I think her wanting to take Saul on the trip was completely unreasonable, though. Although the concept is that she's his mom too, she's not when it matters. And when Saul and Ari were finally allowed to see Mary and hug her after all the coronavirus nonsense, the kids were so excited and happy they covered Mary in hugs. Maybe they were just over the moon to finally see anyone other than Cody and Robin, but it seemed like they genuinely missed Mary and were elated to see her specifically. However, Gwen was low down for throwing Christine under the bus. She skipped her mom's wedding for what I suspect to be a lame reason. I think she skipped as a protest and used her schooling as an excuse, but I could be wrong. I don't see why she couldn't study on the plane and leave the wedding early. But her recent dig at Christine trying to tarnish her reputation is low down. I feel like she went out of her way to run Christine over, since what she said about her wasn't part of the show. Let me be clear, I'm not defending Christine for telling her daughter she's sorry her dad didn't love her. If she did say it, I'm just saying that no parent is perfect. I've done and said some things I'm not proud of. On the other hand, we have time and time again seeing Cody as a crappy person. That's just who he is. I feel like Christine hasn't been a constantly bad person to Gwen, especially since Gwen recently posted that her mom sent her food in an attempt to show her mom isn't mad at her for skipping the wedding. It feels like an unwarranted stab in the back to me. I know Christine also paid for Gwen's breast reduction surgery, and back then she sure was complimentary of her mom. Now perhaps the money train has rightfully dried up, and now the extortion begins. I don't know, I just dislike Gwen more than I dislike Christine, moreover this, I'm not a big fan of Christine either. There are definitely things I dislike about her, such as moving her kids all over for Cody, but you can't be that horrible of a person if the whole family gravitates toward you, so I feel like Gwen is being disloyal to her mom over a disagreement she is currently having with her, but at the same time she is trying to understand both sides of the situation. In an attempt to appease Cody, it's one thing to disagree with Christine for things she said or did on the show, but it's another thing to divulge private information about your mom to muddy her up. It's a bad look for Gwen, in my opinion, and it makes me dislike her even more. And we all know that what was said is not necessarily what was heard or meant with this family or lots of families. It could have been in the way that makes you feel loved, or you don't feel like your dad loves you because Christine also said she told her many times he loves her, but it's not her job to make Gwen know her dad loves her. It's his job. Christine is not the most mature person. Either something was said, something was heard, and once again, instead of clearing the air between them, it's drama. And on the way, my unpopular opinion is that the Browns aren't bad parents or bad doing sister wives. A lot of people talk about how the Browns are terrible parents for putting their kids on TV or exploiting their kids for TV. I have a bit of a different take. They were living in true poverty. The kids talked all the time about how poor they were. They had to eat stale, moldy bread and didn't have many toys or clothes. The parents were pretty clear. They struggled many times to put food on the table and had to declare bankruptcy. A handful of times they lived in trailers most of their marriage before the house in Utah, and even then many of the kids were stacked 3 in a room in that house. They had zero hope of helping their kids with college expenses, weddings, or cars. All the parents were working and barely making ends meet. For the first 12 years of my life, I lived in poverty with my parents. It's absolutely not a nice way to live. Then they were offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change the whole trajectory of the family. The trade-off wasn't ideal, but it would put them in a substantially better position to take care of their family. They were able to provide their kids with better living conditions, food security, more opportunities for their future, money for college, and via the show, even nice weddings. Every kid has stated that their parents paid for their undergraduate degree. Yes, the parents personally benefited as well. Yes, the kids contributed to the show's success. Yes, putting your kids on T isn't healthy. Yes, they shouldn't have had so many kids, even if it was strongly encouraged by their faith or cult. Yes, they may have other motives, but having lived in poverty as a kid, and now having kids of my own, I never want my kids to experience hunger or food insecurity. I understand why they made a decision. They may have understood it wasn't the best for their kids, but they knew it would provide a better life for their kids than they were currently about to provide. I cannot justify calling them bad parents solely for having put their kids on TV. They may be bad parents for other reasons. TV really seems to be the only avenue that allows them to provide a better life for their kids. There are just my 2 cents. I would love to hear others' thoughts, and the only thing I can really say is that perhaps they should have stopped having children when they started falling below the poverty line so severely that they were eating moldy food. Also, it's the whole polygamy system that breeds poverty. How could Cody support all those wives and children? Even with Janelle working and Christine acting as a stay-at-home mom, it was still not the ideal way to raise kids. On the other hand, Koya passed a series of bad decisions. Would the family be in a better place if Cody had done any sort of planning other than getting presentation boards printed at office Max before they moved the whole family, such as agreed on what kind of houses they would build? I got the land surveyed and had a solid plan for where my wife's house would be. I agreed to get initial utilities set up as part of the price. I looked into the price of the building. They looked into the restrictions on building on the land they chose, didn't create an arbitrary need to redo the existing lots, found less serious temporary housing closer together. Also, Janelle, Christine, and Mary should have stayed in Vegas. They'd all have major equity in their homes for retirement. They've got to let Robin and Cody go by. See you never. And they do a couch interview after he accepts the deal, completely blowing off the pulling utilities part of the deal. They're all talking over each other, but he says something like, I hope that's not too expensive. They took a deal they didn't even understand, not even Janelle's logical one. At last, would the Brown family have survived the pandemic in Vegas? On another thread, someone mentioned that the move to Flagstaff was truly the demise of the Brown family and their relationships. I know Cody loves to blame Coronavirus, when he's not blaming the other wives, do you think the Brown family would still be together if coronavirus had occurred while they were living in Vegas? Ultimately, I feel the UG3 were going to leave sooner or later. Because of their lives with Cody, the kids are grown, most of the UG13 are adults, so there's no reason for the wives to convince themselves to stay yet. I wonder if they had been living in closer proximity like in Vass, they would have gotten together more, perhaps even strengthened relationships amongst the adults. Robin could have given up the nanny and let Christine help. The effort to see one another would have been easier because it was a matter of looking out the windows at each other. I'm really curious what everyone thinks, and they could have at least socialized more since they had an open backyard and their own court. I think Robin would have been spying out the window to see which kids were leaving the house or socializing, and Cody would have been worse than he already has been. Also, in my opinion, the Brown-Ogan family was always doomed to fail. The move and Robin being added just accelerated the timeline a bit. None of these adults had healthy relationships with each other, and none of the wives were treated equitably by Cody. I think the only way they could have made it is if they hadn't gone public, and that would only be because the Oggs wouldn't have found out they had support and financial resources to get the __ away from Cody. Religiously based plural marriages, especially those based on patriarchal, misogynistic policies, will always be doomed to fail. Your opinion in the comment section below, according to my discussion, is appreciated. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.